Hello everybody, Tahoe Yak Fisher here. Today I am going to take this Driftmaster rod holder that I got at a garage sale this summer, paid $2 for it, and I'm going to make an adapter so that I can put it on the gear track of a kayak. I have some stuff that I am bringing to the table, so it's going to take some epoxy, it's going to take a couple of nuts and one of these bolts. Now, this is a standard Yak Attack one that I borrowed from this ball right here. This is a toilet T-nut. Now, hardware store kind of stuff. And these work in some tracks and don't work in others. I've had mixed success, but worst case scenario, I'm going to just use the thread to put these bolts in the PVC that I have. Now, here is money I had to spend out of pocket. I went to the hardware store. I got these 3 items: 2 1-inch threaded caps and 1 1-inch threaded coupler. A lot of times I use 3/4 inch for these projects. As a matter of fact, like here's an example of one that I put a 45-degree angle in. So if you wanted a rod holder like this to change angle, you could do it like that. But I used 1 inch for this because this is kind of a heavy-duty post and a heavy-duty rod holder. And I want more contact with the gunnel of the track, and the 1 inch is going to do that for me. All right, so the first thing I need to do is mark the center and drill some holes. I'm going to do that. Okay, guys, so we got the caps here. I drilled holes. The drill bit drifted a little bit on this one. It's not very straight, but it's going to do what I want it to do. I'm going to show you a little exploded view of how this is going to go. All right, here we go. So this is going to go through here. This is going to be epoxied, into that. And then we're going to thread it into this. And we're going to do the same here. Epoxy this into here so that this can thread into it. That way we can tighten this down on a rail and have this be solid. You can use the wing nut to change the direction of this, and we will be able to adapt this to a accessory track on a kayak, and it'll be usable for kayak fishing. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and work on gluing those in, and I'll show you what I come up with. All right, guys, so I covered the threads with a piece of cling wrap, and I put the nut on it, and I snugged it down with the wing nut. That's gonna hold the nut in there nice and square and tight. And I am gonna fill that with epoxy. And I did the same thing with the T-nut here. And it is in my little vise here, and it is also covered in cling wrap. And so let's glue them in. Okay, guys, we are full of glue. I think I showed you guys in the beginning I used JB Quick. I used all that I had left, and I put too much in there for sure. I didn't want to cover the end of the nut so that the bolt threads can come all the way through, and so I will probably have to drill a hole through the top and find the threads, and I may have some cleanup because I put too much epoxy in there. But these are the 1 inch fittings, and I wanted to make sure I had enough. And it's JB Quick, so it dries pretty quick. Once they are dry, I am gonna show you guys what it looks like all put together. We're gonna let this one dry in the vise, and this one I kind of propped it up so that it would be somewhat level. So we'll be back once they're nice and firmed up. Okay, you guys, so this is what it looks like assembled. the glue really isn't dry, so I'm not going to fiddle with it too much. I just want to finish up the video. So you can loosen this wing nut and you will be able to turn this right or left to point it in the direction you exactly want it to be, and then tighten this wing nut back down. So where this ends up on the track is up to you. You'll still have full control of what direction it points. Now, as I put this thing together, you have to epoxy the nut into this side so that you can twist this down by hand and something is holding this nut. Now up here you have control with this wing nut. I didn't really need to epoxy this nut in. That was kind of a waste of epoxy. But anyway, I'm going to have to remove this bottom one more time once the glue is dry and finish hogging out the hole so that the T-nut can pass through so that I'll have full adjustment. I'm just going to show you what I mean here. Okay, take a look here. I started with the drill bit on my drill press here, but realized that the epoxy is not dry. So I need to let the epoxy dry. If you get epoxy on the threads like I did, clean them out as quickly as you can. You don't want that drying in there. That's not enough to affect it threading in though, so I think I'm okay. But once this dries, I'm going to use the drill and I'm going to remove enough of the epoxy that this T-nut can pass through so that I can tighten it down as tight as I would like, regardless again of whether or not I'm using this style T-nut or this style T-nut. Now at this point I would put this thing all together and take it out and we would put it on a track of a kayak and see how it works, but I think if you guys watched my other video, I sold my fishing kayak. And I told you I was going to get a bona fide SS 127, and I didn't. I changed my mind. I got something different. Make sure you have a piece of cardboard or something to mix the epoxy on. You can see it's kind of a messy game here. But anyway, I have a new kayak coming. It's going to be here soon, and we are going to start again. And I'm not going to tell you what I got until it gets here. But I think you guys are going to like it. I sure hope so, because I sure hope I like it as well. Now, again, this is not necessarily something that I wanted. I found this at the garage sale and knew that I could make it useful. I'm not sure I will use it, but I'll at least give it a try. You know, I'm pretty happy with my Canon rod holders, but if you need a project and you need some, that's pretty hard to do one-handed. If you need a project and you come across something like this, here is a way that you can adapt it to your kayak tracks. All right, you guys, thanks very much for watching. Tight lines, Yak Fisher out.